all seemingly linked. So first we have President Jacob Zuma celebrating his 75th birthday on the same day. According to one report I saw, 120,000 people marching in Pretoria. The confidence vote, the vote of no confidence, also now postponed, which gives the Constitutional Court time to decide whether there will be a secret ballot or not. So let's look at some of the political developments. We're joined in our Pretoria studio by Professor Somadoda Fikeni. Thank you for joining us, Prof. And let's start with the birthday celebrations, because President Jacob Zuma said tonight, I will step down if the ANC asks me to. He even used words like stepping down graciously. Is this a change in rhetoric from the president? He was making it clear, however, that it must be the ANC that asks.
Yes, the president is saying that, fully aware of the fact that the structures of ANC leadership do have people who strongly support him. And it is not the first time that he said he will one day step down and join the branch as an ordinary member. But it will be his actions and how he responds when you see the growing calls for him to step down, and you're beginning to see dissenting voices from some of the ANC leaders, veterans and stalwarts. That will actually be a clear indication whether his promise to step down graciously is backed up by an action. But besides that, let's assume that he wins every other battle within the ANC structures and the society is on a progressive decline economically and the social cohesion is rupturing. Again, it will be up to him to reflect as to what legacy he may want to leave behind, because if he doesn't reflect on those things, the country may begin to think of a post-ANC South Africa.
Professor, just to clarify, so you're saying that what he said today was not unusual from the president. We shouldn't take it as a sign that he's feeling the pressure of increasing calls for him to step down?
Certainly, if I remember very well, it is now the third instance where he has signaled that he would step down. But also remember that at some point post-Polokwane, he had signaled in one interview that he could possibly stay for one term and then move on. History has told us that this did not happen. And in this particular case, therefore, we should not focus much on the contradictory messages, because his base is intense, is focused, and is determined that he is not removed.
Prof, today we heard messages of support from those that attended the birthday party, and most of them were busy telling him, Mr. President, ignore the marches that are taking place. Is that good advice? What should they be telling him about the marches that have been embarked upon and they promise to be taking to other parts of the country, including KwaZulu-Natal, where they say they're going to show that there are no no-go areas?
Actually, I've been quite consistent in saying the ANC may end up losing control of power if they personalize power and weaken the institutions such as the political party itself, its values and so forth, and more importantly, the society. ANC ought to be reflecting quite seriously on the concerns being raised and not ignore them, because one, it will fall to the very perception that it is arrogant. It doesn't care what the society thinks. And secondly, some of the very specific pointed issues that are being raised, ANC ought to be seen to be doing something about them. Some of them are being raised by the opposition, some of them are being raised by the society, and now some of them are being raised by the rating agencies. And should there be conflicting messages on how ANC is responding, it might then be seen as being fragmented and weak.
So today's birthday celebrations, a lot of people would be saying who was there, but perhaps the most telling thing might be who wasn't there. And the top six, maybe perhaps except the speaker, the national chairperson, Baleka Mbete, because she's got issues on her desk in terms of this motion. The rest of the top six, excluding Jesu Duarte, were not at the party. We haven't heard much from Deputy President Ramaphosa since the NWC came out with this statement after their meeting. What should we read into this, or can we not infer anything?
I think there is a lot that can be read, and it's going to be a pattern going forward. The core supporters of the president are prepared to shout down any alternative voices, and as such, public spaces, as we have seen in the Chris Hani memorial, and in Durban as well, where Pravin Gordhan has gone to address, they are prepared to simply shut them down or even attack them openly. To that extent, the internal democratic space of engaging and differing may be squeezed, and dissent will be expressed in different forms, in different spaces, which is a lot more difficult for the party because it may not be able to contain those once they go out from some of the core leaders of the party who may feel that they no longer have the space to articulate their positions.
Prof, the motion of no confidence, let's just come back to that, postponed, which increases the chances, the possibility, I guess, of a secret ballot if the Constitutional Court agrees. How important will this be? It seems such an outlying chance right now that there could be mass defections, not defections, but people voting against their own party outside of ANC tradition. Just tell us what you think about that upcoming vote.
I think it is quite significant in a sense because two things have been happening. The first one, which is most profound, it will introduce a level of uncertainty even on the part of the party, the ANC, which may not know what will happen behind the scenes as each voter casts the vote. That level of uncertainty has not been there. Even if you instructed members to say this is the party line, it may not turn out to be. And secondly, remember that Parliament and some leaders within Parliament have now been asserting themselves and demonstrating autonomy. So the parliamentary caucus of the ANC has reached a point where the president has had to attend some of the meetings in order to ensure that some of the dissent is contained, and that in itself might be another added factor of uncertainty on the part of the ANC. Hence, during this period, if ANC calls NEC meeting, which I think it would be well advised to do so, it could gauge how responses will be because it no longer has a huge majority in Parliament. It would take just more than 50 people either abstaining, not going to Parliament, or simply voting the other way to actually lose the majority vote.
So a short while ago, the former ANC Chief Whip, Matole Motshekga, was in studio, and he's the one of the voices calling for this urgent NEC. The urgency suggests that there are now a lot of people inside the party that are wanting a significant discussion to take place, unlike perhaps the one that happened in the NWC. If it does happen, what is likely to come out of this? And can the ANC afford to keep the president as president of the party, of the country?
I do think that it may be one of the trickiest and the most difficult NEC meetings that ANC will have to attend to, because for the first time they see this mass action against the ANC relentlessly and not subsiding. And that in itself is the first time since 1994 that they begin to see a society and many political formations, including its alliance partners, taking a position aiming directly at its leader. To that extent, the NSC meeting may also assist to guide what could happen in Parliament, even though there may be no guarantees. So the pressure is going to increase, but it will not take one meeting to resolve this. It might actually get worse before it gets better. It might be a protracted war of attrition within the ANC. During that time, ANC may lose focus of the bigger picture of what the society's expectations are.
All right, Professor Fikeni, that's where we're going to have to leave it. But thank you very much indeed for giving us your insights this evening. Always greatly appreciated.
All right, let's